Hi, everybody. Welcome to Naptime Nuggets number 25. Raylene Osberg here today, trying to find my calm self. Been running around like a crazy person. So what are we going to do today? I am going to give you actionable ideas, things that you can do right now, whether you're a parent, childcare provider, teacher. What can you do right now to help those high energy kids sit still, right? Why won't you sit still? Well, there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle, but one of the pieces includes that it's their natural temperament. It's their natural way of responding to the world. If it's that difficulty, if it's that challenge, I'm so thankful all of you can join me. You guys are my peeps. You're here week in and week out, standing by me, and I appreciate it. I appreciate the notes and all the messages I've been getting from people thanking me for these broadcasts, and I just really love coming to you because I work here all alone in my office. So if I can come here and bring strategies and ideas, tips and tools that make a big difference for you, I definitely want to. So high activity, let me tell you, when it comes to kids' temperaments, some kids are high activity. Yes, that's why you're here today. You wanted to know what to do about it. So you tell me, is there something wrong with being highly active? Is there something wrong with being a mover? Not in and of itself, right? Being an energetic person can draw people to you. It can be exciting. It can be fun to have energetic people around. So when does it result in trouble? I want you guys to tell me in the box, you came here today. So you tell me, what is it, what behavior specifically drives you crazy about these high activity youngsters or adults? I'm one myself. Where do they get into trouble? Because just being highly active is not the problem. When they have impulsive physical actions, yes, so they do something in somebody else's space. A lot of times we're just moving and not thinking, and so that might really ruffle other people's feathers. So that's when it becomes a problem. So as a parent, I remember having trouble with my daughter sitting at the table. This is the thing about temperament. A child's natural temperament is their way of responding to the world. It's how they're wired. So it's not bad or good. It just is. So some kids are highly intense emotionally, and some have lower intensity. Some are highly sensitive. They hear lights and sounds. They feel sensory things a lot more than other kids. This is just temperament traits. Well, one of them is activity, and some kids are highly active, and this would be my second born. So she was that way in my stomach when she was in my womb, right? And she was that way when she came out. She just always moved, move, nonstop. Well, I knew about temperament, so I wasn't too worried about it. And then she was 1 year old and she was still up and down and bouncing all over the place. And then she was 2 and I was starting to get a little frustrated. I'm like, she's 2, come on, sit down at the dinner table, sit, and I would just fight her. And I remember getting so frustrated. Maybe you've been there. Then she's 3, she's still moving. And I knew about child development. I knew by 3.5, you should be able to sit at the dinner table for 5-10 minutes without a problem. But she wasn't. She was up and down and up and down. And so I went to her childcare provider and I said, you know how Audrey won't sit? She looked at me. I said, how, like, you go to eat a snack or go to dinner and she's down and she's up and she just won't even sit. She looked at me again, like, she said, I'm sorry, she sits here. What? She's like, yeah, I mean, a lot, but I think she sits maybe 15-20 minutes at snack and isn't moving. What? So is she doing it to me? Is she doing it on purpose to me? No, the child care provider has a different environment that I have. So she's getting a lot of activity. She's running around with the other kids there. Her child care provider actually had a strategy she used. She would, before she had them sit down, she would have them do higher activity and then have them do something like open, shut them, open, shut them, give a little clap, open, shut them, lay them in your lap, right? So they had a routine, they had a ritual to sitting down at mealtime. So they made it fun. They made it exciting. They were talking to each other. at snack time. So my daughter wasn't having trouble sitting there. She still didn't sit for long periods of time, but there was a reason that she was having a better time there. So what I'm going to do with you today is share what can you do for those kids like Audrey in your care who just need to move. Like everything in their body says, do it. I need to move. And if I can move, I'm feeling good. I'm actually more focused when I'm able to get to move. So if you expect me to sit in a chair and quietly listen for 2 hours, I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss a lot of what you say. So what can we do to help the kids who are highly active focus, sit for longer periods of time, and really be successful? Because temperament isn't an excuse. It's not, oh, they're highly active so they don't have to sit. That's the mistake I made. They can still learn how to sit. Temperament is not about skills. So are you guys ready? I'm going to jump in and give you some strategies. I'll answer some questions, and then we'll be out of here. So working with high activity, here we go. The first step, this is going to seem like a light one. It is a heavy one. Trust me. Send the child positive messages about how they're wired. There is nothing that's going to help me feel good about myself and be successful if I keep getting the message from adults that something's wrong with me. And trust me, I was very guilty of this. I said so many times, why won't you sit? Why can't you sit? But as you send that message to the child, you're literally reinforcing that they're going to have trouble sitting. So you want to send them positive messages about their ability to sit. Yes, it's more challenging, but here's kind of how it looks. So instead of like, you're so wild, you can't sit, I might say something like, you are so energetic, you love to move. You need to move to feel good. So these are the kind of messages that we're going to give the child. And I'm going to tell you something that you might not agree with. Are you ready? Label the child. Sometimes we get in that some labels can really have negative impacts, yes? But label this child positively. You are a super sitter. Some people get really antsy and they can't ever sit, but you can do it. You get stronger every day. You get better at sitting. So you just get excited about this idea that some children can't sit, but you can. You're a super sitter. And then they start to feel proud, like, I can do it. And so that's going to really change the dynamic to, I feel bad because I can't sit, to, no, it's okay. I'm energetic and I want to move, but really, I can sit. I can be a super sitter too. So then you're going to want to have like a timer or something like that, so you can show the passage of time. Because if you're expecting me to sit, I'm also high activity. If you haven't noticed, I'm bouncing all over the place, right? So if you're going to tell me to sit for a while, fine. But if I don't know how long it is, if your circle time is 45 minutes, I might go kind of crazy. So how can you let me know the passage of time, that it's going to be 10 minutes and then I'm going to get a chance to move? Well, you use the timer. And these days, there's all these visual timers you can get right on your iPad or phone. So I'm going to link to that. I'll tell you about where to find those in just a minute. But so that's the first one. Send positive messages about the child and label them. You are a super sitter. Research shows that if you do this positive label, they actually rise up to the challenge and become better at it. Shocking, right? Okay. Second one. Help the child get the movement they need. Help the child get the movement they need, especially before they're expected to sit. So Audrey would never go to bed at night. Do any of you struggle with getting your kids who are highly active to lay down for nap time if you're doing childcare or you're working during the day with your children, or at night to get them to go to bed? High activity kids have trouble calming down. So we have to teach them how to calm down, how to notch their body down. If you're a calm person, if you're not highly active, you take for granted how easy it is to calm. For us movers, it's hard for me to calm down. I get revved up, I get excited, and I move more. And so the idea that we've been playing, we've been active, and now I'm just going to go to sleep, it's not going to happen. So give us like 15 minutes or 20 minutes to kind of notch down and find our calm place. Okay, so number one, send positive messages to the child. Number two, really help that child get the movement they need. So I remember going on a trip where Audrey was swimming and swimming and swimming. We were at the pool all day long. At 6:30, we went to go to dinner and she said, I don't want to go. I want to sleep. She got the movement she needed. She was exhausted. Then she didn't have any problem with bedtime. She needed a lot of movement in order to be able to sleep, and she also needed help calming down. So there's two big strategies. And then here's another one. Okay, so if you're going to expect a child to sit, let's say you're going to read stories, you're going to either you have a circle time or you just want to sit with your child and read a book or something, you can help the child focus in and stay calm by giving something like this. Are you ready? Do do do. Yes, you can buy these online. They're just like little fidgets, basically. So I've been giving these to, in my seminars, I've been giving these to participants, just setting them on the table and asking if you need one of these, you can have one. And you will see people while they're sitting there listening, they're going, and they're really like squeezing. Here's one that's just simple. Like you have little animals and you can just squeeze it. This action of like squeezing and fidgeting actually helps us big movers focus. So we need it. So that can be, I mean, you need one developmentally appropriate. So don't get one meant for a 6-year-old and give it to a 1-year-old, because some of these aren't meant to be in people's mouths. Okay. But if you give me something to hold, something to squeeze, it's going to be easier for me to focus and listen. So some schools, some childcare, some homes have gotten things like bouncy balls that you sit on when you're sitting at circle that you can bounce if you want to, or at the activity table. That's not realistic for all classrooms and childcares, but for some of them it is. So, so those are some ideas there. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to have these options available, and then you give them a choice. Do you need a fidget? If you need a fidget, you can have one. So some providers will say, well, if one kid gets them, then they're all going to want them. It's not true though. If they don't need them, they don't end up getting them. Just like in my seminars, not every person takes one. The people who need them end up taking them. Kids can learn this kind of flexibility. So if I'm sitting next to Johnny and I say, well, why does Johnny get one? And I can say, well, Johnny feels like he needs one. Do you feel like you need one? If the answer is yes, then they can go get one. So being offered that choice, being given the option, can really help kids actually be more successful. So if you're sitting and you're seeing me and I'm getting fidgety, one thing that you can do to help me is give me a choice. Would you like to stand up and move? Would you like to sit on a pillow? Would you like to have a fidget? And that's going to help me actually be more calm. So if I'm just naturally wired more to move, you might as well give me more options for moving. So part of this is, if a child needs to move, then if I'm going to have a quiet book time where we sit and read, if we're going to go sit at snack time where we're expected to sit, those two things in a row are going to be hard for me, because you're compounding the amount of time I'm expected to sit. So you really want to have a variety of activity options. So maybe when I read a book, I'm going to, when I'm talking about frogs, have everybody hop like frogs. You can do this at home with your own kids. It's fun. And then those active kids are actively learning, and actually more of it is going into their brain. So this is research-based. This is exciting stuff. I know it seems simple, but it makes a huge difference for kids like us and adults, right? So I'm going to give you one more strategy, and then I'm going to apply this to older kids, since somebody asked in the notes, and I'll answer any questions you have. So if you have questions starting to go in your mind, you can go ahead and type them in now, or you can wait till I'm done with this last big strategy. You guys know I'm all about praise. I'm all about praise. And the reason that is because, as Stephen Covey, who wrote 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, wrote, what you focus on grows. So if you're leading a circle and you look at me and say, you need to sit down, you need to sit when I'm fidgeting, you need to sit still, you need to cross your legs, you're giving me a lot of attention when I'm being fidgety, so that's more likely to grow. So it's better if you focus on when they're sitting, getting excited about it. So if I'm sitting at the dinner table with my partner and we're having a conversation and I'm totally ignoring my 1, 2, 3-year-old child, what are the odds that they're going to start to act up? Pretty good, right? Because they want our attention. So if I wait until they start fidgeting to turn and say, sit still, or wait till my daughter gets up from the table before I say, I need you to sit down, if I notice her when she's standing up, that's what she's going to want to do more, because my attention is the most important thing that I can give my child. She loves my attention more than anything in the world, and they will take negative if they have to. So it's better to step in and give them the positive. So celebrate your mover, accept your mover, acknowledge your mover, and give your mover options. Because you know what? We're all wired different. Can you imagine the world without our movers? Can you imagine the world without the energetic people who liven up a room? If we were all wired that way, there might be a problem. But really, at the end of the day, we're all good. It's not good or bad. Temperament isn't positive or negative. Every single temperament trait has the good sides and the challenging sides, every single one. So celebrate your mover, be glad that you have their energy in your life, and then see, try some of these strategies and see what works for you. So I'm going to go ahead and go to questions in just a moment, but let me say one more thing. What do you do with a 13-year-old? Shout out Kalimba for the great question. So most of these strategies I gave you are for young children, ages like 0 to 5 years old. By the time they start to get over 5, we start to give the onus of responsibility to the child. So a lot of these strategies still apply with a 13-year-old, but they're adults. You're not going to talk to them the way that I've been talking. You're not going to get, here, do you want to fidget, honey? You might make it an option, just like I do with my conference participants, but you don't have to. They're 13, they're 15. So now let's look at how these look. Send positive messages to the child. I love how you're a mover and a shaker. I love your energy. What can you do to be successful? That's going to be an important question for that child. Unfortunately, a lot of our school system and educational institutions still are expecting kids to sit for long periods of time. This is a problem, because for us movers, that's one reason I didn't do well in high school, because I needed to move in order to learn. I'm a kinesthetic learner. So it's hard. You can acknowledge the difficulty for that 13-year-old, that we're living in a system that's difficult, but you can start to ask them the question, what do you need to be successful? Remember, this isn't about skills. At 48 years old, I'm 49 now. Last year, I discovered something. It was amazing. I can read. I just need to move while I'm reading. So I sit on the floor of my office and I stretch. I walk around. I have a standing desk over here that I stand up while I'm reading. It helps me so much if I have kind of something I can do while I'm reading. Now with those programs that you can highlight and circle things, I'm active while I'm reading it. I'm pulling out different pieces that are important for me, and I'm still learning how to adapt to my high activity temperament. So the good news is, at any age you can learn the skills and you can start to build the brain pathways you need to be successful. At any age you can do this. So thanks for the great question, Kalimba. Any comments, any questions? I'm going to be watching in the comments and see. Thanks, Jackie. So this one clicked for you. You really thought that these tools were maybe going to work. Which ones? What would be some good ones for you? So Melanie mentioned this idea of using toys inappropriately, being destructive. So if I grab some toys and I start being destructive with the toys, if temperament is the piece to the puzzle, that means I probably have too much energy right now. So when I get super tense, like I've been sitting too long, not only do I get crabby, but I might start to just I might be more likely to slam a door if I get upset. I might, just start moving too quickly or get too physical because I'm just so tense. I'm just because I haven't moved enough. So really, if you see kids being destructive with toys, we have to think about what it is, why it is, but maybe it's because they have too much energy. So what is a way that they can get that energy out in a positive way? So some providers have talked about things like you can put a target on the wall and have balled up socks and a box or a clothes hamper underneath it that catches them, and then you have them throw at the target, trying to hit the middle of the target. Something like that they can take all that energy they have bound up inside right now and express it somehow. So for kids expected to sit, like whether you're 49 or whether you're 8 or whether you're 2, getting movement before you're expected to sit is a huge part of it. So if you want us to be able to sit still, we need to get our energy out. So can we go and run and play and do something really active and then go play with the toys that we're supposed to be calmer with, but not instantly, right? Because if I run over here and I'm like, wow, and I'm really active and I'm having so much fun, and then all of a sudden, like, I'm expected to just sit calm, it's not going to happen. So that's that notch down thing that you can do. So another idea within that would be like singing a song that helps kids notch down. So I used to sing goodnight songs to my daughter before bed. That was one of the things that helped her calm down. Some kids, it doesn't help them calm. So look for their cues. But really, if we go from an active game to nap time or bed, it's not going to work. We need adults to help us learn how to calm our body when we're young. So that's one of those ideas. If you guys have other ideas there, I'd love to see them. So Jackie's saying she gets outside a lot. That is perfect. Do you know school systems in some other countries have adopted, believe it's Finland, does 45 minutes of activity and then 15 minutes of movement. They are outperforming our students. They're outperforming our kiddos. Kids need to move. They learn well when they move. So do we. So we can help ourselves be successful too. So Melanie, what did you say? I have found other ways to curb the need for example, standing on toys I offer boxes or blocks that are made for standing on. Oh, sure. Have you ever done like making a fort or trying to make an obstacle course of some? Go today. Let me give you a couple important links first, okay? So what I have done is I found a wonderful article on how to help kids who are high activity. It has some of the strategies I just shared, but it also has additional ones. So I'm going to put that in the comment box here. So that is what I'm giving you the link to here is my temperament group. So it's full of temperament tools, and I just uploaded a few things. I uploaded a handout that I just love that's going to give you tips for working with high activity temperaments. I put in there a survey that you go and take, and you put what is your temperament, what is the child's temperament, and it will send out to you a little report that tells you ways that you can adapt to help that child be successful. Because what they found is it's not the individual's temperament that makes the biggest difference. It's their fit with the environment. So why do you want to do this? Why do you want to adapt for kids? Not everybody has that culture, right? That we adapt our care for our kids. The reason is because we can help them be successful. We can help them learn more, and they feel valued. When you send them positive messages about who that child is, they get to feel good about themselves. And when they feel better, they do better. So I was in my, early 30s when I found out about temperament, and I've even told my mom, I don't know if you're still watching, Mom, but I've even told my own mom, who's complained about my activity level my whole life. I said, you know what? I am just wired this way. I am highly active, and when I'm moving, I feel good, and I am okay just the way I am. Isn't that funny? I told her that in my 30s. Kind of silly, but I felt more connected and more understanding of myself and others once I understood temperament. So access that temperament tools group. There's several different resources I put in there, and be on the lookout because I'm actually taking a temperament article I wrote for Rochester Women Magazine, and I'm posting that on my blog with great tips and tools, including one more shout out, a link to Ray Pica's video, which I just love, on alternatives to crisscross applesauce. So she shares some great resources, some great research, and then has some actionable ideas for how to kind of get kids in that moment that you're trying to lead a circle and have them sit, ways to help them be successful. So I loved her video, and I'm going to post that also. So take care, everyone. I will be around to answer more questions. If you have other tips and tools you want to share with people, go ahead and write them in the box, even if it's later, because I save these for later. I'm collecting all of our tips and tools together to keep sharing with our community, because you are doing the most important job in the world when you're raising young kids. Whether you're childcare providers, parents, teachers, grandparents, aunties, uncles, you can make the difference and help set children on the trajectory for success. When you help set them down that positive road, you help impact the rest of their lives. So thank you so much for all the work that you do. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks everyone for joining me, and I will see you next week for Naptime Nuggets number 26. Thanks so much, everyone. Over and out.